Everyone, starts with Kenny here today. We're reacting to Beto supporters don't know why they're voting for him. My first thoughts is I believe Democratic voters have the largest percentage of uneducated voters because I just believe Democrats have this brand they put out and they project, like they have the media behind the side. Hollywood looked at them favorably, that people perceive them as being good, right? Because they have good intentions, so-called. But no one looks at their policies and see how the negative drawbacks of their policies. And all I want is America to make a more informed decision when they vote for these politicians. These politicians shouldn't just be who they are and you vote just based on who they are. Oh, I like Beto, that's why I'm going to vote for Beto. No, it should be, hey, these are the policies I support from Beto, and that's why I vote for him. Right? I want more answers like that. But I digress. Let's get into the video.
The 2022 midterms are coming up, and we have a big governor's race here in Texas. We have Beto O'Rourke going up against Governor Greg Abbott. Now, I'm here at UT Austin to ask Texas residents who they're going to be voting for and why. Let's go find out. Are you from here in Texas?
Yes.
Are you planning on voting at all in the 2022 midterms?
Yes.
Who do you plan on voting for?
Beto.
How come?
I love Beto. I don't know anything about politics. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you don't know anything about politics, but you want to vote for Beto. Why? Because you like Beto. I'm sure everyone likes Beto. But if Beto is an evil dictator and you vote him in because you like Beto, you set the country up for failure. And then you're going to be like, oh, I didn't know. Yes, that's the point. You shouldn't vote if you don't know. And that's my thing. This is one of the reasons why I don't want the voting age to be lowered. Because these people are in college and they still don't know anything. Really, but they want to participate. This is why Democrats focus so heavily on their get out to vote efforts, because they know by default most people have a positive perception of Democrats, so they don't really need to go and campaign to them like that. They just be like, hey, look at all the good the Democrats are trying to do. Right? We're trying to stop poverty. We're trying to give everyone health care. But then what's the burden on the taxpayers? Taxpayers got to pay more. And especially the college kids, they don't contribute anything to the tax system, at least not at a significant degree. So they extract more than they actually put in. So they're the easiest group of people to bribe.
You're gonna vote for Beto because you like him?
Yes.
Give me one of his policies that you like the most that has led you to want to vote for him.
Oh, shoot. I'm not into politics. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know anything.
I'll be treated like hers. I'll be like, hey, y'all been conditioned to vote a certain way, and then go ahead, go vote. You know what to do. They don't even have to explicitly say vote for them. They just be like, hey, go out and vote. Because they know all these celebrities. They got all Hollywood. They got the teachers unions. The colleges have a left-wing bias. There's evidence of it. If this is how you know if a college has a bias. If you put in uneducated people about politics in there, and they have to, like this lady, D or R. And they go, oh, D. You can say, oh, why? Oh, because I just like them. Democrats care, like people who vote Democrat, they care a lot about who is saying something instead of what they're saying. I think Republicans focus on what someone is saying versus who is saying it. If Trump said 2 + 2 is 4, it's right. If Beto says 2 + 2 is 4, he's right. But with a Democrat, it goes 2 + 2 is 4. Beto said, yay. Trump say 2 + 2 is 4. Boo. You're racist. You hear in the background, they'll say that. Because the marketing, how liberal media, how the media portray those two. They portray one in a favorable light, one in a negative light. And they know this is how they get majority of people who are uninformed about politics. This is how they get them.
No? Mm-mm. How come you're not voting for Greg Abbott then?
Because a lot of my friends. It's because a lot.
She almost gave the beans all because of my friend, like this popularity thing. It's like I forgot what we call NPCs. It's like they all got a script and they say this is the script. If you go outside the script, you're not a good person. Gaslighting 101.
A lot of my friends talk about Beto and they say how great he is, and I agree with my friends' ideals. So yeah, and they've explained it to me. I just forget.
Yeah, Beto.
You're really excited about Beto. You want to vote for him for governor. Talk to me about why that is.
I've again, I haven't brushed up before this particular thing. I like Beto.
But you will be voting for him for governor for the 2022 midterms.
Yes, absolutely.
Probably Beto.
Beto.
How come?
The abortion stuff.
I'm pretty socialist democratic, so I've always supported Democratic candidate. Honestly, I just want to push for Texas to be blue. I think overall, I'm not like a particular fan of Beto overall, so there's not like particular reasons, if that makes sense.
So you said you like Beto because of the abortion issue. Talk to me about why that's important to you.
I don't know. I just feel like women should have like the choice to have an abortion.
I wondered this from the man's
No original thought. Just hey, here's the lines you gotta read, and that's canned answers pretty much, right? Like, I don't know. I don't think there's any real belief. It's just hey, this is an issue. Women, we believe you have the right to kill your baby. We believe your baby's your property. You can do as you see fit with it. That's how it comes across to me, because the my body, my choice line is a lie. It's not your body that you're dismembering into feces. It's a separate human being. That's why you don't get you get hurt because they're trying to enter into you to chop up the baby into pieces, but ain't you that died that day. You literally picked the fate of someone else. It's like the scene from Gladiator where the king or the emperor has his thumb like this, and if he does this, you must kill the gladiator. That's what they want women to have. They want women to have that choice. That's what my body, my choice mean. We want to make women the arbiter of life or death. Women's rights overrides human rights. That's what they want. That's what my body, my choice means. At least that's how I perceive it.
perspective, like, do you hope that abortion is also an option for women just in case you get a girl pregnant?
I mean, yeah, like, I guess.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Of course. Bro, these people don't want no responsibility. That's what it is. No accountability. They all care about rights, but no responsibility. What are you responsible for? They don't want to be responsible for nothing, but they want to be entitled to everything. They want to be charitable with other people's money. Oh, I believe this money should go to feed the poor. I believe we should pay reparations. Okay, how about you start paying reparations out of your personal pocket? Oh, I'm broke. I can't do that. Oh, but you expect other people to pay reparations, but you don't want to pay reparations. It always comes down to that conversation. It always. Because when you call them on a personal level to do something that they believe is right, they don't got no means to back it up. But they expect everyone else to do it. It's easy to be charitable with someone else's money. Like I said, I always going to say this line. These people are pretenders. They're going to act like what they want is good when really it's just something for their personal gain. Ask not what the country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. What you can do for your fellow man. Not telling them what they should think they should. Oh, you're a woman. You should be for abortion rights. Says who? You? But I digress.
An out-of-state student, but I do plan on voting for Beto. So, yeah.
Yeah, same here.
How come you guys want to vote for Beto? Talk to me about it.
I'd rather not talk about it, but yeah, I'll just be voting, voicing my opinion.
Yeah, same.
I think conservatives, even if they don't have the full, like, oh, I know every single policy that this candidate is pushing, they can give you some idea why they voting for them. But these people just seem like, it's almost like, hey, there's no independent thought. It's just, hey, this is what I've been ordered to do. This is why I think fascism is going to come from the political left, because y'all just vote for anything as long as they got a D on it next to the name. They could put the worst person ever. They could put Hitler reincarnated, put a D next to him, y'all still vote for him. Because it's all about who you're voting for, not what they're voting for. Hey, look at these policies. They're exactly the same as Hitler's policies in Germany. But he has a D next to him. It must be because it's good for us. I'll vote for him. Like, no critical thinking. Ask me a question I can't answer, not an answer I can't question. That's my quote for this video. Let me know in the comment section if you agree, disagree. Hey, I'm all ears.
Same?
Yeah.
Just like one thing you guys like about Beto.
Beto?
How come?
Because I lean slightly Democratic, in terms of like the political spectrum. So,
What is that big policy that Beto has put forth that you really like, that captured your attention?
I'm not really sure, to be honest.
No?
No. Like, I'm not like the most political person on earth, but
I'm not the most political person. They all vote Democrat. For the most part. Like, if you get all the uninformed political people, I'll say like 60% vote Democrat. Especially if you got the large proponent of the younger vote, that's a given. The older votes go to the Republicans and the younger ones go to the Democrats. And then people are going to get mad about my statement. I say, hey, in general, I'm right. I may not be right about you, but in general, I'm right. If we had to bet, I'll win the bet.
he seems cool, and I don't like I don't like Governor Abbott, so
What would you say to people who say Beto O'Rourke wants to take away gun rights from Texans? You know, Texas is big on guns. What are your thoughts on that?
I don't really care about guns, to be honest. So, like, it doesn't really affect me.
So if the governor decides no more guns in Texas, Beto decides that you'd be all for it?
I mean, yeah, sure.
So I'm an international student, so I won't particularly be voting. But if I could, I would be voting for Abbott. I just think that, you know, he gets a lot of hate for stuff that's not particularly in his control. He's not the one who can really call the legislature to fix something. That's all the lieutenant governor. It's all his responsibility. He doesn't have the unilateral power for the pardons. You know, so the office of governor of Texas is a lot weaker than in a lot of other states. So you can't expect him to, you know, live up to be a governor like you would in the other states for the most part.
The first avid supporter we got, and he gave a more clearer answer, a more reasonable answer than all the lefties that got, I don't want to call them lefties, they're probably politically unengaged college students. He gave more of a legitimate answer than they did. They just be like, oh, he's popular. Oh, he's this. Oh, my friend said. No independent thought. He got an idea. Hey, this is why. And I don't think it's unfair. This is why. An international student at best. And I think this is why colleges are on their last leg. Because literally, all their academic success is riding on international students coming into the college campus. Because America as a whole, bro, our public schools ain't doing us good. And then they want to get mad as parents want school choice. Like, come on, man. Like, an international student sees clear, like, they know our political system more than the average American kid their same age. That's sad to say. When you go, like, if I go to China, I expect the Chinese citizens to know more about China than me because I'm not from China. This kid's not from America, but he knows about the American political system better than most people in his campus. Crazy. And look who he voted for. But if I dare make the claim that Democrats have the most uneducated voters in their voting bloc, a lot of Americans don't know how their own political system is supposed to work. Then this is how they get fear-mongering into believing that the Supreme Court is now going to ban abortion all across the state. Houseway. The judges can't make laws. They're not supposed to make laws. That was the point of why Roe v. Wade got overturned in the first place. Because on its very foundation, it was illegal to do so. But the liberal court still did it in 1972. And all they did was rectify that. And y'all crying. Oh, we lost a right. You didn't lose no right. That was at best a privilege. Because no human should have the right to decide the fate of another. That's my take. You can disagree with it, but that's my take. That's my belief. Your rights end when another's begin. If you're following that principle, you have to be against abortion. At least until you determine if it's a life or not. Then you can decide, okay, it's a woman's property. She can do whatever she wants with it.
Talk to me about Abbott a little bit, because we've had a lot of support for Beto out here. Mm-hmm. What specifically do you like about Abbott over Beto?
I know Governor Abbott, he's, so I want to be a physician. I know a few physicians. I've met some that he's appointed to the Texas Medical Board, and they've been very good people. So he's made some pretty good decisions over that, relatively speaking. And it's also that I really don't like Beto, right? He really comes off as hyperbolic, and he waits for something to go wrong, and then he goes all in on that with a super emotional spiel.
Democrats are very reactive. When bad things happen, they're very reactive. Oh, we should ban all guns. Republicans are very proactive. Hey, we should have armed security guards because on school shooters, mass shooters target gun-free zones. That's a fact. No one can deny that. Mass shooters target gun-free zones. Everyone knows public schools are the biggest gun-free zones in the whole United States, making them sitting ducks. The Republican solution, hey, let's put armed security there. Let's create a security budget for public schools to have them better securityed. You got liberals fighting against it. No, we should just ban all the guns. And then what? It'll be mass stabbings next? Oh, at least let's ban AR-15s. The deadliest mass shooting in U.S. history was done by a handgun. So what's the point? If you want to ban guns, just say you want to ban all guns. Don't start off with the machine gun, because machine guns only count for 4% of gun deaths in the country. And if you want to talk about, oh, the guns are the problem, let's talk about single motherhood. All the mass shooters are all raised by single moms. Let's talk about that. All the mass shooting was done by machine guns. You see how dumb my argument sounds when I said, hey, let's prevent single mothers from getting primary custody of the child because mass shooters come from them, even though those mass shooters only represent a small percentage of single mother raised children. You see how dumb that sounds? But I digress, right? Because people kill people, but y'all want to blame the weapon. It's never someone's fault. It's never that personal individual's fault for engaging in that activity. And he got what he was coming from. Because all these mass shooters always got stopped by what? Somebody with a gun. It never was, oh, I came to a realization I need to stop. I'm breaking the law. If they're already shooting, it's too late. And the only way they're going to go down is someone else has to take them down. That's it. Republicans understand that reality. The Democrats live in La La Land. My take. Let's continue.
Which I really don't like. Like the way he did the Uvalde thing, I say, you know, it's a tragedy. Of course, it's wrong, but you can't make everything in the state about just one thing, right? And I definitely don't support his ideas of gun buybacks and all of that, because if you don't know, the worst mass shooting in the United States history is perpetrated by the army against the Lakota Sioux. They went to disarm the Native Americans and massacred just hundreds of people, women, children, and all that.
You know, gun control is racist, right? The KKK, the main reason why the KKK didn't want black Americans to have citizenship is because then they'll have the right to own arms, and they want to be able to terrorize black people if the black people was armed. So help the Democrats. Of course, they're Democrats. They went in, pushed legislation to prevent the black people from owning a gun, so that way they can't defend themselves when the KKK came to coerce them to go vote Democrat. But I digress. You know.
Few minutes later.
So you can't completely trust the government to constantly, you know, uphold your rights, right? Mm-hmm. You have to have a way to do that.
It's balance. End of the day, if you don't have any boundaries, people are just gonna walk over you like a doormat. If the government knows you have no means to actually retaliate against them in any meaningful way, what's gonna stop them from being a dictatorship, an authoritarian government? Nothing. You'll be at their mercy.
And I'm pro civil rights. I gave a speech about Frederick Douglass and all that, and there's a very important quote from him.
Yep.
You know, a man's rights are found in 3 boxes: the jury box, the ballot box, and the cartridge box. Yep. So if all else fails, you have to have something, right?
Yep. Because freedom is something you fight for. Freedom is something you earn. Freedom is not given. You have to fight for it every day. That's freedom. So if you expect some other person to do what's best for you, you're asking for trouble. If you have no responsibility for yourself, you also have no authority over yourself. And this is my problem against big government, overreaching government. Because if they feed you, clothe you, give you health care, they can decide what to do with you. They have all the authority over you. Hey, you don't have authority over your kid. We provide your kid food. The only reason you have shelter is because of that kid. And the healthcare he got, we provide healthcare to that kid. So that kid is effectively property of the state. You're just his caregiver. Imagine the government telling you that because you took in all this free stuff from the government. Nothing is free in this world. My mom always told me that. Everything's about trade-offs. You trade something off. Even if you don't believe the trade, whatever you gave away was valuable. Oh, I don't need autonomy. Who cares about autonomy? Who cares I can't pick my own healthcare? Who cares if I can't pick where I live? As long as it's free for me, I'm fine. But then the government can move and shift you wherever they want to go. Hey, you got to live here. We're only going to pay your rent here. So you got to move over there. And you got to pick up. I was like, go kids, we got to pack up and go. How's that any different from the plantation back in the day? Now black people went from a physical plantation to a mental plantation. All they have to do is give you a sense of, oh, you got freedom. You got freedom in this little box we gave you. But don't step outside that box. Or you ain't black. But I digress.
Are you guys Texas residents?
Yeah.
Who are you guys voting for governor? Abbott or Beto?
Beto.
How come?
It's more like a family thing. Like they just fit more. I've been told by like people that he fits more with like my family's, like, you know, it helps more like the people that my family are, like who they are.
Wow.
Like immigrants or?
Yeah. I don't really know a lot of the stuff like he's doing and stuff. I just know.
That's what I'm saying. Politically uninformed voters, Democrats have the largest share of them. Why? Because they use emotional, oh, look, the Democrats are more empathetic than the heartless Republicans. But then when you look at their policies, who policies do more damage? I reckon the Democrats. The Democrats do more damage. Look what they did to the black community. Before they came in with 1960 whatever bills, they come here when LBJ was saying, I'm going to have these N-words voting Democrat for the rest of their lives. The black community was, 80% married. Their poverty rate was like low. But right after he put all this war on poverty, I believe it was the bill, 54, 60, 70. Now we have 76% single motherhood. And single motherhood, there's stats out there. Obama, he put a claim that a kid raised from a single mother is 5 times more likely to commit crime, 8 more times to drop out of school. Like, yo, a lot of negative outcomes resulted from that. But end of the day, government, they don't feel the negative consequences of being wrong. So they just think, hey, everything's all fine. We give the kids money. Oh, they need more money. We'll just give the people what they want. The government don't benefit nor see any negative consequences for being wrong. This is why they say government is the problem, not the solution. This is why, I agree with Reagan when he said that the worst thing a government can tell you is we're here to help, because they'll just make the problems worse. That's what happened when a third party is making decisions on behalf of two people. Student loans, same thing, same concept. But I digress. Let's continue.
That I've been told by people of my family that he's actually helping. I know the other side is something about gun rights and stuff. That's all I've heard, but I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on this.
I come from a very Hispanic family, and I know there's like a lot of prejudice against a lot of candidates still, but I guess it's more like a family thing as well.
Have you looked into Beto personally at all before voting for him?
No, I haven't. I'm not very aware of political standards right now, but I will take a look at it.
But you will be voting for him?
Yes.
Don't know why, but I will vote for him. Come on, guys. Come on. Do I have to continue? Okay.
I'm voting for Greg Abbott.
How come?
Well, he just has my, I guess, what he believes and what he's fighting for matches me a little bit more. I'm Catholic, so his beliefs match mine. Very similar.
What's one of the best policies that Greg Abbott has put forth that you agree with?
Well, I came from El Paso, so I would have to say immigration and just, gun rights as well.
Honestly, I'm not excited by either of them, but I am going to be voting for Beto this time.
For Beto? How come?
Yeah.
Sorry, guys, I didn't comment, but it just validates my theory, I guess, even more. That even though the guy who said Abbott, the ones who said Abbott, they gave a more reasonable
eternity later.
They gave a more understandable reason for why they voting for who they vote for, while the other ones just seem like sheep. They just seem like someone just told them they had to vote Beto, and they say, okay, I'm just gonna vote Beto, right? They had more to say. Their thoughts were a little bit more independent. It was not because, my family said we had to do this. It was never something, someone told me to do. There was it felt more like, hey, I informed myself of this, and this is why I'm doing it, because that line more is with me. And you see the difference. The Democrats want you to vote based on your identity, based on the perceived, hey, we're for you, rather than, hey, does this help you? I like that one. I might keep saying that. Let's get back into it.
It's a lot of different. It's very. Let me think about that for a little bit. I don't really have like a upfront answer for that, because usually I tend to lean Republican. But I'm gonna be honest, I'm a big pothead, and I really want him to legalize weed. I am not a fan of Beto's gun policy things, and that's a huge thing that I'm worried about. I don't believe a lot of what either of them promised that they're going to be doing for the state. One side, I watched the debate. Greg Abbott was, I don't know, I feel like he has a lot of explaining to do for like why hasn't a lot of things been done. A lot of things go wrong in Texas, and then it only gets fixed when it goes wrong. And I think abortion should be legal in this state.
Gotcha. So for Beto, you said that you don't like his gun policy, but you would still be willing to vote for him. I mean, I know a lot of Texans do fear if Beto gets in that our gun rights will be severely restricted in Texas. What are your thoughts on that?
I do not believe that he's actually going to be able to get that through. I think the Supreme Court has a lot of checks that would be able to prevent that, and I do not think the people of Texas are going to really allow that to happen. I feel like Beto is uneducated on firearms. I think he says a lot of emotional standpoints, like he does a lot of emotional arguments, and it does work. And
yeah, it does, because only 4% of gun deaths are attributed to machine guns, yet they want to target machine guns for banning guns. If you're gonna ban guns and your thing is, hey, we want to reduce the amount of gun deaths that happen, You have to ban the handguns, but they know they can't slide with the handguns, so they start with the smallest, the more negligible thing, which is not going to do anything. Mass shooting will still happen. You're only going to ban the machine guns. Okay, majority of the gun owners don't have a machine gun; they have a handgun. And when the mass shootings still happens, they're going to be like, oh, now we got to ban the next thing. It's a slippery slope that the conservatives are always worried about. Half the country already don't agree with you trying to restrict guns. You have to give a valid reason why. You can't just come here, try to emotionally gaslight them into agreeing with you. Oh, you're evil because you don't want to ban all guns. You can't pull a Pierce Morgan. You can't do that because people will be like, nah, I need to protect myself. The Udolph shooting, whatever, proved that. Police are not compelled to help you. Because at the end of the day, they're entitled to their own labor, and they get to do as they see fit. If they don't want to rush in and help you, that's within their right not to do that. And a lot of gun owners are saying, yeah, that's why I want my gun, so I can be able to protect myself. I don't have to wait on someone else to do something for me. It's the do for self moment, right?
And honestly, somewhat worked on me a little bit. I am willing to budge when it comes to gun laws, and one thing that didn't sit right with me is that during the debate, they asked him, like, well, will you confiscate the guns? All he managed to say is that I will protect the interests of the children. Okay, great. So that's like a little fishy to me.
I guess Abbott. I'm not that educated though.
No, not too sure?
No, yeah.
Why Abbott over Beto?
Like I said, I'm not educated at all. I know Abbott more than I know Beto, so.
Gotcha. Not sure about either the policies, though, for the two?
No, I don't know anything.
Beto.
How come?
So we got one Abbott guy that couldn't articulate why he liked Abbott, which is fine. But I'm just saying, it was more Beto that was doing the same thing this kid was doing than the other way around. The only clear answers we got was from the last two Abbott.
You know, after like Uvalde and hearing everything that was happening, he was like fighting for like all the students, and I was really here for it.
I see. So I've been asking people too that are pro Beto. A lot of Texans have issue with him because he is, anti-gun, and he has talked about taking more guns away from Texans. It's, this is Texas, right? We're big on our guns here. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on him potentially bringing in like anti-gun policy?
I mean, like I said, with everything that happened back then, it's like I think it's better to have an anti-gun policy, especially with like people at such a young age being able to carry. Yeah.
Do you feel like gun-free zones are safer than zones with guns?
I do.
Ignorance. That's ignorance. I just explained it. Gun-free zones are the biggest targets of mass shooting. If I told you, hey, like here's one of my liberal friends, he likes to argue about no one needs a gun. I said, okay, bet. Put on your yard that there's no guns in your house and see what happens to your house. He was like, oh, no, I ain't going to do that. Why? Because you're going to make yourself a target. And that's the point I'm trying to make. Gun-free zones are the biggest target for mass shooters. Mass shooters only go to places where there's no guns. If a mass shooter knows that, oh, this neighborhood's strapped, they'll never go in there. That's why crime is low in gun-heavy communities. Communities with high gun rate, high gun ownership experience less crime. I wonder why. But I digress. Let's continue.
I think that they're way safer than an area that has guns.
So what would you say to someone who says, okay, somebody who wants to go shoot up a crowd, for example, right? They would go to a gun-free zone, right? Because they know no one can defend themselves in that area. What would your response to that be?
That's a really good question.
But I guess
you'll be dead. That's your answer. Yeah, you'll be dead.
That's the argument, right? Is how do you protect yourself from a criminal with a gun if you don't have a gun?
Yeah. I think that's where it's like the debate on like, should we have guns, should we not have guns? Exactly. In my personal opinion, I don't think I would ever carry. If people want to carry, that's on.
Because at the end of the day, this is what I'm talking about, personal responsibility. Because at the end of the day, if you're not responsible for your own safety, someone else has to be responsible for your safety, and that's the police. Now, the police, since it's coming from someone else, it's not coming from you. You have to wait. You at the mercy. Like I think the fastest time a police can arrive at to respond to a crime or a call is 5 minutes. So that means you got 5 minutes to somehow keep yourself alive for help to come. But with a gun, if I have my concealed carry, I can instantly address the problem, at least fend for myself. Even if I die, at least I died trying to protect myself because I have the ability to. I'd rather have a gun during mass shooting than not have a gun. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than being a gardener in a war. And that's the concept we have. Personal responsibility. That's it. Like, this is why my problem with communists and socialists. They don't understand that at the end of the day, the responsibility goes to somebody. You can't just no responsibility. Money just comes in and everyone can do whatever they want and they don't have to worry about making a living. They can just follow their passion. No, someone still has to be producing stuff. Someone still has to make the infrastructure work, because those countries that are not doing what you're doing, they're gonna have an advantage over you, and eventually they'll come and take over because you ain't producing anything. That's my main problem with socialism and communism and all that stuff. Because you see Africa is so anti-capitalism, right? But their poverty is still like what? They're still one of the poorest countries. The country's going through poverty. Why? Because they don't create any economic environment for their people to lift themselves out of poverty. No, the government has to decide to lift people out of poverty. And that's a slower and more inefficient process of doing that, than rather giving them people the power over their own selves and say, hey, you lift yourself out of poverty. And they'll do what they can to make themselves sustainable. Self-sustainability. That's what capitalism is, because capitalism is a voluntary system. No, you don't have to ask for no one's permission. It's just like, hey, I have my money. I can choose to spend this money for this service or use this money for myself. All of it is in your freedom of choice. It's your choice to do so. That's why if you have different outcomes than someone else, it's because you guys made different choices. That's it. You value something differently than the other person, and they got 2 different results. But I digress.
Them, but for me and like my family, we don't like hold guns or anywhere. Like, it's not something that we do. Safety, yes, is important, but it's also like, if it gets into the wrong hands, what do you do after that?
Gotcha. So Beto, anti-gun policy, that's why you're voting for him for governor.
Yes. For me, like, I'm not very into all that, so I have no clue. I'm registered to vote, but I'm probably just gonna I'm gonna bring that, I'm probably gonna ask my parents and be like, what are y'all doing? What's y'all's opinions? And probably confide with them and figure it out.
Beto obviously has gained traction, but obviously, Austin doesn't represent the greater part of Texas, so it's going to be hard for him still. And in the polls, he's still running behind. And even if he were running ahead, we've already learned from the 2020 election, what happened. Or, 2016, what polls may tell you, so...
Well, what you guys think? Agree, disagree with my takes? What you guys thoughts? I'd like to hear it in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.